Tonight, should we be teaching TV trivia in schools?
Reading is overrated. They just use it so they can look smart at a cocktail party.
Pencils down. It's time to debate. Right here on Crossballs.
Comedians posing as experts.
Pot is good for everyone.
Women are designed for sex.
Hunting is self-defense.
I drive drunk all the time.
Debating real people.
I'm not gay. It's totally immoral.
Who don't know the show is fake.
That's a lie. You're an idiot.
Die.
Out of the crossfire, beyond hardball. This is Crossballs.
I'm Chris Tallman. Tonight's topic, education in America. Pop quiz. In the classroom of the world, is America now the smelly kid in back? Why are there high school grads who can't spell graduate? With us today are two teachers with very different teaching philosophies. First up, a teacher from Fordman Middle School in Detroit, Jerry Davis. Also with us, a history teacher from Providence High School in Burbank and a James Madison Fellow, Reese Talley. Thank you for being with us. Question of the day. America spends the most money per student in the world, but our classroom performance doesn't rank in the top 10. What's wrong with America's schools? Reese, we'll start with you.
Comparing apples and oranges. You're going to compare the kids in Japan to what we do here? In the United States, we educate every child. In other words, the special needs child, the child who's in a criminal institution. We educate the third world's children who come here illegally, too. We educate them all.
It just doesn't stack up. Jerry, how do you respond?
The kids right now, and the material that we're giving them right now, they don't connect with it. They zone out. It's boring to them. They don't connect with Christopher Columbus.
I think you're wrong. I think it's how you present it.
You know, they connect with people right now. They connect with Kobe Bryant and R. Kelly. They connect with the jobs. Seriously, they connect with the jobs that they're going to have later on, and those are jobs like...
So you're saying, like, Christopher Columbus doesn't have a place in what you're teaching? Is that what you're saying?
We always talk about Christopher Columbus, and nobody knows really what happened. I mean, you know, you're talking to kids about Christopher Columbus and all that stuff.
Yeah.
You know, like, okay, I want you to empathize with him. You know, I really don't believe that kids care about stuff like that. They don't connect with Christopher Columbus.
I think you're wrong. If you want to end problems like racism and other things like that, kids have to be able to crawl into each other's skins and see the world through another person's eyes.
I did something with my class with my sixth graders in PE. I had them play dodgeball, whites against blacks.
What does that teach them?
I can't imagine actually doing that, you know? That subject's pretty raw to be playing with it like that.
Let's move on. Are kids' shortened attention spans causing them to read less? Jerry, we'll start with you.
Yes, and you know what? It should.
It should?
We're concentrating on making them better readers, which is fine, but we want to make them better viewers because that's how they're going to get their information. They watch TV.
That's nuts.
I'm not saying...
Why is it nuts?
Television is a passive activity. There's not much that really goes on. When you read, you have to create those images in your mind.
How do you respond to that, Jerry?
To be honest, I was bored when you were just talking about reading. No, what I'm saying is, you know that Tom Sawyer?
Yes.
Let's use that for an example. Do you know that word? You know that has the nigger word?
Yes.
It's nigger Jim.
Yes.
Did you know that?
Who happens to be the only...
Do I still want my kids saying nigger? I don't. I want my kids using right terms that you hear on television. They're not going to be using terms that they use.
No, you missed it. You missed it because he is the only really human in that book.
All right, we got to move on. I'm sorry. All right, now, Mr. Davis, you actually use a type of teaching material that incorporates your beliefs on learning. Now, tell us a little bit about this.
I don't think there's any way that you can teach children without the media, without television.
So you incorporate...
I incorporate television. I incorporate all these things that kids are going through into the lesson. You're old school. I'm new school.
All right, we have a tape with us of Quick Learn. Now, let's take a look.
Je m'appelle Steve. My name is Steve. Comment allez-vous? How are you? Je suis très bien. I am fine. Je vais aux bibliothèques. I go to the library.
There is so much going on at once. I don't know how you can learn anything. Is that a valid teaching tool?
I don't really know what it was I just saw.
Look what was in there. That thing was the bomb.
I saw a lot of facts, but I don't see a lot of synthesis of those facts.
What were they pulling out of that? Tell us.
Okay, I saw that John Howard was the Prime Minister of Australia. I saw that Malcolm X was giving a speech, and then there was some language that was down at the bottom.
That was math!
You've been amazed that the human brain can actually pick up all those things.
That's absolute horse manure. What you saw on the screen presents a lot of facts, but without connection to those facts, it's meaningless information going nowhere.
A lot of this stuff right now that we're teaching kids, we don't need anymore. We got computers, we got the internets, we got, you know, the worldwide internets. We got...
Wait, the what?
We should be teaching kids instead
you said
of...
the internets.
Yeah, there's a lot of them. There's .org, you know what, now people should say internets because there's more than one.
Well, I want to talk about for a second, you're actually proposing a new grading system.
There is obviously a big, wide range of learning ability with children as they're growing up. So why do we just have 5 grades?
You're talking about A, B, C, D, E, F.
F. We should use the whole alphabet. And more than that, I think we should even like have colors in it so that kids know exactly where they stand. So
what?
Well, here's what I'm saying. A would be still the best grade, but the worst grade would be like brown or something like that.
It gets weird, and it's unnecessarily unwieldy, and it creates a lot of hassle that doesn't need to be.
Why are you thinking it's weird just because it's something that you don't know? I mean, things are going to change.
That's not what I'm thinking.
Change.
I'm looking at it, and I'm thinking that this is a task and a half to do this. What's the difference between, for instance, a Z and an R?
Yeah, what is?
There's, what, like 4 letters in between there.
You're wrong. We're running out of time. Let's get into the quick balls round. Should we be spending more tax money on education? Quick balls, go, Jerry.
You probably would disagree with me on this, but I think that we should pay teachers the same way we do waitresses. I think that teachers should have to work on tips. Wait a second. If they worked on tips, you would never have to worry about a teacher doing a bad job.
All right, hold on, let's go. Rebound to you, Reese. What do you think about that idea?
This is nuts. No.
All right, and he says absolutely. Bounce back to you, Jerry.
You say that because you know you wouldn't get tipped, and you know I would. Because I'm down with my kids.
No.
I know what the deal is, and they like me.
I don't think you know what you're talking about. Next up, fraternities, collegiate curse, or fast friends.
See how he giggled? He's probably high.
Stay tuned. Welcome back. The collegiate Greek system, co-ed coming of age or wrong of passage. With us now is Mintz, California City Council member Matthew Leeds and president of Sigma Chi Fraternity at USC, Chris Millard. Big question. Some colleges are getting a reputation for being party schools. Why do we call a school a party school? Chris, let's start with you.
It's perpetuated by the students, and generally they're schools that are easier to get into with large populations and residential campuses.
Matt, how do you respond?
Do you know USC has been in the rankings of the top 10 party schools at least 4 or 5 times the last 10 years? Do you know that? Are you aware of that?
I am aware of that. Thank you for saying that.
Thank you. So you're proud of it. You're proud of that fact.
Are you proud? I'm proud that I'm a Trojan, yes.
Are you proud that you're a party school?
The only way you're a Trojan is the condom you're wearing, if you know what I mean.
All right.
Basically, calling yourself a party school is absurd. It's an oxymoron. It's like you don't know what that means, but I'll explain it.
Oh, come on.
Thank you.
I don't think he does. It's like you going to a party to study. It just doesn't make sense.
Greek systems bring a lot of positive aspects that no one ever hears about. For 10 good things, you hear of one bad thing.
Well, okay, tell us. What are some of the good things?
10 good things. Philanthropic service. Fraternities and sororities all over our campus are raising $20,000 and more for like Children's Miracle Network.
The only miracle is going to be if that money actually gets to those kids and doesn't go to your keg fund.
The elderly, they have blood drives. They do a lot of great stuff.
Oh, blood drives?
Yes,
blood drives?
yes.
This is why they do the blood drive. Everyone knows it's easier to get drunk when you don't have much blood in you. Okay? That's why they do it. Secondly, do I really want your toxic-filled, spleef-ridden, booze-ridden blood in me? No, thank you.
You won't get it.
If I got your blood, I'd be drunk for 2 weeks after that.
I wouldn't give my blood for you. I'd let you die.
There's a number of good qualities that come out of a fraternity or a sorority.
A fraternity is not a social club. A fraternity is a lifelong obligation.
What a joke.
Let him finish.
Fraternities are based on ideals and values that were started back in the mid-1800s when fraternities started. They were all based on similar
ideals. Back when there was slavery? Is that back then? No. You said the mid-1800s, right?
Yes, I did.
Okay, there was slavery back then,
I'm not trying to point out slavery. I'm trying to start that.
Well, that's when your values were formed.
Fraternities build leaders. If you look at the statistics, 43 out of 50 of the major Fortune 500 executives were from Greek societies. All but 2 presidents.
How many of those people are evil people as well? Are you kidding me? How many people in Enron went went to a fraternity. Is that something you're proud of?
All right, let's...
Hitler was in a fraternity called the Nazi Party.
All right.
That's his logic, though.
You're dropping the Nazi bomb. It's uncalled for.
I'll tell you what, we can make this conversation very short. If you want me to stop with you, sign that pledge right there.
What is this?
It's a pledge of sobriety. If he signs that, I'll shut up. If you promise to stay sober with the rest of your fraternity for the rest of the semester and just study and have an education, then...
How about I'll tell you this. I've studied harder this semester, and since I've been in the fraternity, than when I wasn't in one. My GPA is better. The GPA of the entire Greek system is higher than the rest of our university. Explain that.
They have these things called designated dorks, and every frat, it brings the GPA up, and that may be what you are.
Is that a fallacy?
That's a complete fallacy.
Now, we actually sent out a crew with Mr. Leeds to a fraternity to observe some of his anti-party project in action. Take a look.
This is water right here. I think the real fun of a chugging contest is the chugging, not the passing out afterwards, right? Chug, 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 chug. The dreaded H2O bong, huh? Go. All right, look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Okay. We're having fun. Look how much fun everyone's having. Do you think your parents paid for you to come here and drink beer and meet chicks?
I hope so.
Really?
I don't know. Probably not.
If I called them up right now, they would say, no, I did not.
Yeah, you're probably right.
All right.
Why are you so condescending towards all of us? I mean...
Tell me how I'm being condescending.
You just start talking about how it's bad that we're drinking.
Yes, were you drinking before the age of 21?
A little bit.
A little bit?
Yeah.
I don't think you're being honest with me. I think you were drinking every weekend.
I think that is a common college stereotype that you are forcing upon me just because I am in this fraternity.
Every time you drank before 21, you were doing something illegal. You say I was making a generalization. It seems like I was right on target, sir.
Oh, you don't have to call me sir. No.
You walked in. I didn't walk in. I didn't walk in. I was invited in. I want to talk honestly to people, and I wanted to hear his opinion, and I heard his opinion.
All right. Does this seem like something that could catch on with students, Chris?
I think it was ridiculous.
Why can't you do that? Why can't we chug with water?
I still think that everything that you're trying to say about colleges, you're generalizing them to fraternities, and it's not a societal. I've got one in front of me. Thanks.
He's already got it.
40 years old, and I think you should act like it.
Well, I don't have highlights like you. Okay.
What the hell is that? Next up, intelligence testing. Key to effective education, or is IQ BS?
If a special needs child fails, we tell them to embrace their failure. Embrace it.
More Crossballs when we return. Joining us now via satellite is a superintendent of a Western Connecticut school and member of Intellectual Society Mensa, Mary Stevens. Big issue. Can standardized testing help us determine how well kids are learning? Mary?
Absolutely. It's not a popular theory, but absolutely. Standardized tests help to classify the children, separate the wheat from the chaff, and believe you me, there is a lot of chaff.
How do you make that distinction?
We establish what their IQ is. They wear that IQ on a name tag. We call that name tag their IQ ID, and that helps the teacher sort them. The gifted and talented children sit in the front of the classroom to serve as role models for the special needs children in the back and to help motivate them.
All right, Reese, what do you think about that? Does it make sense to you?
I'd like to know what the hell planet I'm on right now.
I don't understand.
You're on the planet of the future.
I'm not going to label a kid with an IQ tag on him. You know what? In my classroom, I have respect for my students. And this is absolutely absurd, and everybody in this room knows it.
It sounds to me like you're just teaching the smart kids and ignoring everybody else.
No, not at all. We have something called the I Was Once Like You program, where an underachieving adult of middle age, a convenience store clerk, a shelf stacker, that type, comes to a school and picks out a child who reminds them of themselves when they were younger. The child goes to work with them for a week, and hopefully the surroundings will be so bleak that they will be motivated motivated to study harder and avoid that future. The program is working wonderfully.
What about the idea of all these standardized tests? Doesn't that sort of seem unfair to a certain extent?
Standardized tests actually expand a student's cultural view. For example, if an analogy on a test says to differentiate between, let's say, a topsail and a jib, and a student has not grown up around sailboats, well, their lack of knowledge about sailboats will hopefully not only inspire them to learn, educate themselves about sailboats, but to get a better education, to get them a higher paying job, to allow them to buy their own sailboat, which they can then bring back to the ghetto and teach other ghetto children about sailing, so everyone wins.
I don't know what a topsail is, but I don't appreciate you using terms like jib for people that look like me.
Wait, Jerry,
you can go screw yourself.
Jerry,
if you took a standardized test, you'd know what a topsail is.
Jerry, a jib is part of a boat. It's part of a boat.
Okay, well, I'm not a part of a boat.
All right, let's move on. Bottom line, there are not enough Mensa teachers to go around, so how else can your system help our public schools? Mary?
Truth books. Truth books can help. They accurately portray history/atrocities to K through 3rd graders. Do you know, most adults, all they really remember about George Washington is a cherry tree? Now, Ben Franklin, he participated in gangbangs with the French. People don't like to talk about that in schools, but it's the truth, and that's what we teach them, all right? So we don't have to reteach them later.
All right, well, thank you. We took cameras into Ms. Stevens' classroom to watch her read one of these truth books to students. Let's take a look at that.
Let's see this.
This is a very, very important story. Harry S. Truman and the terrible, horrible, no good, very bad bomb. Sometimes 2 countries have to fight. America was having a fight with Japan. We used a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad bomb. That's what people sounded like. And sometimes, all that was left of a person was a shoe. It was a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad. Uh-oh. Look, his eye popped out. The end. That kind of makes you think, doesn't it?
Don't applaud for that. Reese, what's your response?
It's not entirely accurate, and it's not age appropriate, and it wouldn't be sound curriculum anywhere.
What do you do, dress up as Santa Claus?
Not lately.
Folks, we are running out of time. Let's get into the quick balls round. Are there certain things we should be teaching our kids that we're avoiding? Quick balls go, Jerry.
Basically, sex sells. Look at the makeup.
You teach 6th graders.
I'm telling them because
you teach 6th graders.
I'm telling them because that's the kind of junk that their parents won't tell them.
Bounce back to you, Mary.
I think his statements are horrifying, offensive, and sexist. And furthermore, sir, I've changed my mind. I think you are a jib.
All right, next up, education. The key to success. Can we skip? Do not swear on the show. Do not swear.
I can bleep that out, man.
Stop swearing. Next up, education. The key to success, or can we skip class and still have class? Stay tuned. On the next Crossballs. Are professional sluts part of professional sports?
I would never want to be called a groupie.
Groupies would not be necessary if the wives weren't failing their husbands.
Welcome back. Tonight's topic, education in America. E equals MC, who cares? Joining us now live via satellite is a small-town hero with very little education, Andy Conroy. Now, before I get to you, Mr. Conroy, let me just ask the panel, is it possible that college and high school are overrated? Reese, what do you think?
I think everybody should go to secondary school, high school.
I definitely agree with that. I think high school is necessary.
Okay. Mr. Conroy
well, I'm sure you do, since you're not getting an education in college.
Come on. Mr. Conroy has had success without formal education. Now, Andy, when did you realize you could succeed without school?
On the first day of school, I didn't like it at all. I thought that all the books smelled like old paper, and the floor had too many squares on it, and I didn't like it, and it made me dizzy. And I went home and stayed home, and I stopped going to school, and I watched a lot of movies. And I said to my mom and dad that that's what I want to do for a job, is to watch movies. And they said, okay. And now that's what I do.
So without any formal education, you've gotten your own segment on a local news show where you review films. If it's all right with you, we'd like you to review a movie for us right now. You think you can do that?
Yep, you just named the movie.
Okay, how about Troy starring Brad Pitt?
Wolfgang Petersen's bloated festival of excess combines elements of Homer's Iliad and Virgil's Aeneid, but the resulting bloodbath is designed to delight hordes of screaming plebeians more than students of classic literature. The film's vaguely poetic dialogue falls effortlessly from the mouths of such venerated thespians as Peter O'Toole and Julie Christie, but Hollywood hunks Brad Pitt and Orlando Bloom fall on the sword of polysyllabic grandeur in scene after scene.
Wow! Reese, what do you think about that? He's gotten a job without the high school. Is that...
He's obviously doing what he likes to do, and his life went in the direction he wanted it to go, and I'd say that's a good thing.
Well, you know what,
Real good at it.
Chris, he's a Rain Man. He's like a Rain Man.
Well, let's move on. Now, does his success reviewing films prove that higher education is overrated?
Yeah, and also I have another friend who also didn't go to school, and his name is Steven, but we call him the chef of sandwiches because he's very successful at making sandwiches. He made like tuna fish sandwiches and peanut butter sandwiches and cold cut sandwiches.
Andy,
like
I got to cut you off. All right, we will see you next time when more experts get caught between the crossballs. Good night.
Mess around with the Reno Sheriff's Department, and they'll make you famous. Sort of.
Numbers 1 and 2, you're still under arrest. Congratulations.
Are you ready for your 15 minutes of fame?
We got rubber. Go! She's a kicker. She's a kicker. I'm immune to any kind of wizard prismatic spray, any kind of... Oh! Are you immune to that? Oh!
Reno 911. Catch an all-new episode tonight at 10:30, right here.